In this episode, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into Chapter 3 of my book. As I mentioned in the last episode, Chapter 3 of my book is Bootcamp Basics, the Act of First Impressions, which is all about hiring. Now, some of you have asked, what does leadership have to do with hiring? I'm going to say it again. Hiring is leadership, period. Welcome to Let's Get Rash. This is the podcast that says what your boss won't and what your employees wish they could. Work sucks today because leadership sucks and no one wants to say it out loud. I'm Jessica, a former insider turned leadership coach and the author of Let's Get Rash about leadership. I'm not here to be nice, I'm here to be real. Let's get rash about it. Who you allow into your organization is a leadership decision. Who represents your brand, touches your customers, impacts your team morale, that starts at hiring. If you get this wrong, everything downstream suffers. Now, I do have a lot to cover as we move through the book, and I don't want to camp out on hiring forever, but I think we need to be honest. The hiring process is broken. So yes, we will be talking about it again. I do realize that I've spent a lot of time beating you up and not giving you a lot of advice, so this episode is all about how to hire. In episode 4, I walked you through the hell that is the hiring process for the candidates. And in episode 11, we talked about the nonsense surrounding the unemployment rate and the illusion that that creates. But today, I'm giving you real, tangible tips to streamline your hiring process and actually get good employees in the door. And if you're new here, I teach companies how to lead so that work isn't a place that sucks for the people who show up every day. All right, tip number 1, recruiters. I'm not exactly sure when recruiters infiltrated nearly every level of the hiring process, but it feels like it kind of happened while I was happily employed between the years of 2008 and 2020. Now, don't get me wrong. Recruiters have been around a long time. In fact, the first documented recruiting agency was founded in 1893. Historically, recruiting firms were used for highly technical roles or executive searches or, like hard-to-find talent. Then there were, of course, temp agencies and staffing services, which were typically used for high turnover or seasonal roles. But most everyday positions, those were just handled directly by the companies. Today, dear Lord, there are roughly 440,000 recruiters just in the United States. And now, in many cases, recruiters stand between job seekers and the actual decision makers inside the company. When did this become the norm? And don't get it twisted, I'm not saying recruiters are evil, but I am saying using them for every single position is ridiculous. And I certainly don't want to increase the unemployment rate by another 440,000 people, but it is what it is. And if this concept is new to you, here's how it works. A company, even one with its own internal hiring manager, will outsource the hiring process to a contracted recruiter or recruiting firm. That recruiter is often paid a percentage of the new hire's salary. Now, for those of you who are not operationally clairvoyant, let me walk you through the problem. The recruiter will post the job on every platform imaginable. They screen the reviews, they interview the candidates, they'll narrow it down to a few options, and then they hand those options over to the employer, who sometimes is also running their own hiring campaign. Once the recruiter has handed over their suggestions, it's at this point that the recruiter becomes now a middleman, just relaying questions, scheduling interviews, passing feedback back and forth like an administrative go-between. If the new hire works out, great. But if it doesn't, the recruiter will take a hit. This extra layer adds time. It adds distance. It removes direct accountability. And let's talk about seriousness for just a second. Employers always say that they expect candidates to have a little skin in the game. They expect commitment, initiative, follow-through, right? However, where's yours? How serious are you about bringing someone into your organization if you're not even willing to own the front end of the process? See, hiring is not a clerical task. It's not an administrative inconvenience. It's not something you just offload because you're busy. It's a leadership responsibility. And when you delegate it so far away from the core of your own organization, you weaken the first impression before that employee even walks into the door. And remember, first impressions go both ways. That's Bootcamp Basics. That's leadership. And we're just getting started. Okay, tip number 2. If you already know who you're hiring, stop posting the job on every job board. Now I get it. Some of you work for companies that have policies that require every job to be posted. Or maybe you work for the government or you're a government contractor where posting is mandatory. Fine. Post it where you have to, on your own website, your own internal portal, whatever. But leave it off LinkedIn, Indeed, and every other site that clutters up the internet. And let me tell you something. I've worked around the government long enough to know the truth. They already know who they're hiring, always. So job seekers, take my word for it. Don't even bother applying for one of these unless someone on the inside has actually told you that you have a shot. It blows my mind how many people think every job has to be posted publicly. I've given up on trying to convince them otherwise, so instead, let's define posting just real quick. Imagine that you run a small business with 10 employees. You want to hire Cooper, your best friend's son, whatever. You heard somewhere that the jobs have to be posted. If you feel that you need to post the job, here's a radical idea. Print the listing out and slap it on your door. Done. It's posted. The point is, don't clutter up job boards with nonsense. It wastes everyone's time, candidates, recruiters, and your own. Okay, so let's talk about your job listing. This is step 1. Get your shit together. We need the basics here, people. Nothing fancy, nothing overcomplicated. Here's what belongs in every listing. A basic job description. Keep it simple. Don't try to write a novel. Pay. Now this one is non-negotiable. Give a range, or better yet, the actual number. Don't play games, just list the pay. Benefits. Do you offer insurance, vacation, sick leave, PTO? Say it. Don't leave people guessing. Now, real quick reality check. Why is this position open? Is someone leaving? If so, did they give proper notice? And if yes, we can use that overlap to our advantage here. Because here's what usually happens. Companies will sit on their hands until the person is completely gone. And not because of budget restraints, but because of disorganization. Speaking from my own experience, I have literally written my own job description the last week of my employment and then posted the job on a job board as I walked out the door. Both times where this happened, the company had plenty of money to overlap my replacement with me so that I could actually train this person, but did they? Nope. They did nothing. The moral of the story is plan ahead, communicate, and don't waste everyone's time. Let's talk about the ad. We're going to break this down section by section, starting with job title. Some of you are doing way too much here, and I mean seriously, way too much. It's embarrassing. Housekeepers have been upgraded to environmental services coordinator, as if the person applying is not going to figure out that the job involves cleaning. Office assistants are now called managers who do not manage a single damn thing. Here's the truth. Inflated job titles only matter to people with huge egos. And guess what? You're scaring off exactly the people you actually want to hire. We usually don't want those people with huge egos. So stop it. The job title exists for clarity, not for stroking your own sense of importance. It should define the job universally, so anyone reading it immediately knows exactly what they're signing up for. Step number 3, pay transparency. To attract the right people, list the pay. It's frankly absurd not to. High caliber candidates will not touch a job that doesn't show the pay. Job titles and descriptions are already so inflated, there's no way to guess what a job might actually offer. So not only does this waste the applicant's time, but it wastes yours. And here's where it gets embarrassing. When you finally do find that unicorn and you sit across from them and you say, now what do you need to make here? They're going to say 100K. And you? Well, you were planning on starting negotiations at 50. 65 is the most that you can offer. So congratulations. You just made yourself look like a fool. Trust me, just list the pay. If you're doing a pay range, keep it tight. An 8,000 spread is plenty, something like 50 to 58K depending on experience. That's it. Clean, clear, honest, everyone wins. Step number 4, company overview. Here we go again. Some of you, again, have gone way overboard here too. In my mind, there are 2 types of company overviews. I see an adult daycare or Wall Street. Adult daycare looks like flowery nonsense with endless rambling, all about how wonderful the company is. And then you have the Wall Street kind, the cold, scary jargon filled. Either way, it's not representing what your company truly offers. Neither gives applicants a clear picture of what your workplace actually feels like, so just simplify it. Here's what an employee really wants to know. Will I fit in here? Just like you're sizing them up, the applicant is sizing you up. The company overview is also where you want to list your company values. If you haven't defined those yet, go listen to episode 9. I tell you how to do it, how to incorporate them. Also, you can add your website links or your socials for more information, but don't waste valuable real estate writing a novel about your company and the company overview, okay? Step number 5, job summary. Keep it short, keep it simple, keep it relevant. This is not the time to slip in thinly veiled complaints about the last person in the role. It's not the time to deliver a monologue about how great your company is. Save all of that hype for your About Us page. The job summary is just that. It's a quick, digestible rundown of what the job actually does. So just skip the crap. And here's a bonus tip. Add a photo of the job's workspace. All job seekers would love to picture where they're going to actually be working. Step 6, key responsibilities. This is where you guys need to stop playing games. Be honest, be direct, and be real. If the job is a jack-of-all-trades kind of role, say that. If it requires someone who can roll with the punches and adjust on the fly, spell that out. Don't waste bullet points on things that go without saying. If you're hiring front office staff, you don't need to list out all the things in separate bullets. Answering phones, handling emails, organizing files. Just say, perform standard front office and administrative functions. Done. Skip the obvious. Focus on what actually makes or breaks success in this role. If handling difficult customers has been a problem in the past, put it out there. This job requires someone who can manage difficult customers professionally and with composure. The right candidate will appreciate that transparency. The wrong candidate will probably self-select out, which saves you time, money, and frustration. This section should not be a filler list. It should be a reality check. If the job is chaotic, say it. If it requires thick skin, say it. If it demands initiative and no hand-holding, say it. Clear expectations create strong hires. Vague job descriptions create turnover. Okay, this next one is probably going to make you guys upset. It's at this point that you'll probably be turning me off in about 5 seconds, but stop asking for degrees if they're not actually relevant to the job. I review job listings constantly for my business, and when I see bachelor's degrees required for a role that could absolutely be done by someone with hands-on experience, I can really only conclude one thing. You're screening for comfort, not capability. See, we spend a lot of time in this country talking about racism and gender inequalities, and those are important conversations. But while we are always focused on that, we often ignore something that plays out every single day in hiring: socioeconomics. See, requiring a degree for a position that doesn't truly need one, it just really sends a pretty loud message, whether you intend to or not. It's that you value a certain background over proven ability. Because here's the truth. Experience matters, skill matters, work ethic matters. I don't have a degree. If that makes anyone immediately reduce the value of what I have to say, so be it. I've been casually asked more than once in my lifetime, what college did you go to? This is a funny story. This one happened by my own boss. I was about 6 months into a job when my own boss asked me that question, and I watched her face shift when I answered it. I watched her turn white, like she was recalculating, replaying the job listing in her head, the one that didn't require a college degree. See, this person was a snob, so honestly it didn't surprise me, but I watched it happen in real time. I guess when I was hired, I looked the part. Snobs like this, they think they can tell by looking at you if you're trash or not. You know what I mean? But joke's on them. For the record, I've never lied about not having a degree. I absolutely have the skill set to build a resume, a diploma, and even transcripts that would check whatever box someone wants checked, but I don't, because I have integrity. And the truth is, I would rather be underestimated for telling the truth than respected for something that I didn't do. Plus, I genuinely believe experience will always win over a degree. For me, I didn't come from a college family. College wasn't an expectation where I came from. It wasn't even presented as like an actual option. It was something you saw in movies and I heard on TV. So instead, I went to work. I built over 25 years of hands-on business experience. That counts, and I'm proud of my past and not ashamed of not having a college degree. Plus, as an added bonus for me, I'm not paying student loans for the rest of my life. But don't get me wrong, if a role truly requires specialized education, of course, say it, stand by it, own it. But if it doesn't, stop requiring them. Because here's the truth. Filtering out capable people just because they didn't follow the traditional path doesn't raise your standards. It actually lowers them. It shrinks your talent pool. It leaves you with qualified hires who can't always actually perform. And in many cases, they don't want to. So stop hiding behind degrees. Lead like you actually mean it, or keep wondering why no one on your team can get the job done. Here's something interesting. A study out of Harvard Business School, looked at employees with degrees and employees without degrees doing the exact same jobs. And when employers compared them, nearly half said that they were equally productive. Not only that, but having a degree didn't predict who had more initiative, who learned faster, or who needed less supervision. So let that sink in. I already knew this from my own experience, along with the trash that I hang out with, who couldn't afford a degree or, had parents who wouldn't even qualify to be a cosigner on one of those loans. But the companies that hire based on skills instead of degrees, those employees without degrees actually stay longer. Shocking. So if performance is comparable and retention is stronger, the question is it really about the degree, or is it just a socially acceptable way of filtering out people we assume don't belong? I think it's worth asking. And for the record, I'm not trying to trash on people who have degrees. If you have one, great. But I don't think you should block out people who don't. That's all I'm saying. Now let's move on to the next phase of the job advertisement. We have the preferred qualifications, or my personal favorite when it says, even better if you also have blah, 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 blah. Okay, don't. Just don't. Please stop listing your preferred qualifications. No one cares. It always reads the same way. You're probably not good enough, but apply anyway. You guys think it sounds flexible. It actually sounds like you're stacking the deck. If the qualifications matter, put it in the job. If it doesn't, take it out. Simple. You don't need a fantasy candidate, you need clarity. Just imagine for a minute wording your dating profile like this. Here's my requirements for my guy. I want him to be at least 6 feet tall. I want him to have like a professional career. And I want him to be physically fit, and I want him to love the gym. But here's my preferred requirements. Ideally, I want him to be he should be at least 6'3". I really would like an attorney. That's my ideal. The ideal guy. I would love to have an attorney because I love watching crime stuff. And I would love it if he had a 6-pack. That's my preferred list. Most people scrolling past that listing would be like, yeah, no thanks. Not because standards are bad, but because it feels transactional. It's cold and it's impossible to measure up. And then let's say that someone does take the bait. Some guy dates that person. They meet the requirements, but not the preferred. Now what? Are they supposed to feel slightly behind from day one? Like they're competing with some imaginary upgraded version of themselves? Nervous when their princess is at a courthouse? See, that's exactly what your job posting does. When you list the preferred qualifications, you create a silent ranking system before the person even walks into the door. Instead of attracting confident, capable people, you attract people who are either desperate enough to overlook it or insecure enough to try to chase it. If it matters, require it. If it doesn't, leave it out. Because no one wants to start a relationship, personal or professional, feeling like they're already second place. Pretty simple. Okay, step number 8, what you offer. All right, let's get serious about this section. We're going to list the actual benefits of this position. No filler. We're not doing some vague marketing copy. Don't say things like competitive salary. That's not an offer. That's bullshit, and we all know it. Post the actual pay, the real number, or at a minimum, the real range, and stop pretending that basic operating standards are perks. No one cares about your modern equipment. They don't care if you have a fast-paced environment. They don't care about your beautiful workspace. Those aren't perks. Those aren't a benefit. That's the bare minimum to run a functional business. Tell people what they're actually getting. They want to know if they're going to be salary or hourly rate. They want to know if there's a bonus structure, if one truly exists. They want to know about health insurance, retirement matches, PTO, flexibility, advancement paths, that kind of stuff. See, specifics build credibility. Generic language makes people suspicious. All right, step number 9. Now, so many people do not do this. This is probably, in my opinion, like one of the most important steps of this whole process. Closing date. Just add a closing date, a real one. This will signal that this is a legitimate opening. It tells the applicant that there's a timeline. It tells them that decisions will actually be made. It gives applicants something that's very rare in hiring today, a sense of closure. And it's protection, because if your team forgets to remove the job posting, applicants aren't wasting time applying for something that's clearly expired. All right, step 10, how to apply. Keep it simple. Now here's the part that's going to irritate some people. Dump the company portals. God, that felt so good. I'm going to say it again. Dump the company portals. Yes, I said it. If your system requires someone to create an account, upload a resume, retype that same resume into your portal, take a personality test, and sacrifice hours of their life, you are filtering out strong candidates, not weak ones. Just ask for a resume. If spam worries you, adjust your submission method. But don't hide behind a system because, well, that's how everyone else does it. You don't have to follow the herd. And before anyone panics, yes, there are roles where structured systems make sense. But if you're in a small to mid-size employer, complexity usually creates more noise, not better hires. So make it clear, make it direct, and stop making qualified people jump through hoops just to introduce themselves. All right, now let's talk real quick about the do nots. Do not ask for a video submission. It's tacky, it's lazy on your part, and worse, it opens you up to accusations of unfair hiring practices. So do not do it. Do not add essay questions, skill assessments, or personality or behavioral tests to your application process. Applying to your position should not ever take more than an hour, ever. These people are not on the clock. It should not require formal training just to apply. It shouldn't cost them this much time. Do not rely on ATS. Oh, that one felt really good. I'm going to say it again. Do not rely on ATS or applicant tracking systems. Platforms like Workday, Greenhouse, Lever, or Bamboo HR overcomplicate the process. They filter applicants based on who can manipulate the system. Think about it. The people who helped create those systems have now started their own businesses teaching applicants how to beat them. Today, everyone knows that resumes are ranked based on your job descriptions. So the advice is copy and paste your job description onto my resume. Easy. I'll just turn the font white so it's invisible, and in through ATS it goes. Now, some systems have flagged this, so the new advice is just rewording everything to match your posting. So with large language models like ChatGPT, makes it even easier. If you would like integrity from your new hire, ATS is the wrong approach. It's showing you people who know how to game the system, and it's hiding anyone who's creative and who actually brings value. Let's talk about where to post your job. Now, I hear this all the time where CEOs will complain that job seekers are applying for every job they see, even when they shouldn't. You'll see this on LinkedIn where these CEOs are complaining that they're getting too many applicants this way. Meanwhile, those same CEOs' companies are posting every job on every platform. ZipRecruiter, Glassdoor, Indeed, LinkedIn, the list goes on. Come on, that's the pot calling the kettle black. See, the digital process is a mess, and companies of all sizes are blindly following what the corporate world created. Here's what actually works. Start with your current employees. If you have a customer-facing storefront, post your job on the front door. Networking and referrals account for 85% of placements, yet so many employers still act like job boards are the answer. They are not. They are not as effective as you guys think. Your employees have networks, meaningful ones. Most people have 50 meaningful contacts. If you have 10 employees, that's 500 people. Those 500 have about 50. That's 25,000 potential applicants. Yet, employers often dismiss their own people, treating them like they're beneath them. Here's some examples from my own experience. Years ago, I had left a job and I gave 6 months' notice because I was moving. Now, this was a large company and hiring was managed 500 miles away. Customers that I was around every day knew that I was leaving, and they kept asking me about the job posting. They were interested in the position. Myself and those I worked with assured them that it would be posted soon. When it finally was, my last week, we in the office didn't even know about it. There was no link sent to us, no notice. We found out from one of the customers. It made us look stupid, disorganized, and out of control. Here we were saying that we were managing a multi-million-dollar operation. Ludicrous. I'll give you another example. About 6 months ago, I walked into a small store down the road from my house. It's a little mom and pop type operation, and the front door had a sign that said hiring. Just for fun, I asked the assistant manager behind the desk about the position. She didn't know if it was part-time, full-time. She didn't know about the pay. She didn't know about the hours. She didn't know anything. I was referred to a website which was almost as vague. What's the secrecy all about? Are you planning to pay the new hire more than your current staff? Did the lady that I talked to get a title instead of a raise? See, this makes your staff and your business look really stupid. Use your current staff as the first referral channel. They can honestly explain how your business operates, the good, the bad, the ugly. See, no one will walk in surprised. That's how you attract hires who are prepared, motivated, and actually fit for your company. Plus, it tells your team that you value their expertise too. Have you ever heard the phrase, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result? So why are we still clinging to this digital-first hiring process? And I don't care if you think that abandoning parts of technology is ignorant. Well, Jessica, thousands of people apply. There's no way we could handle that if we took it offline. Listen, thousands of people are applying because it is online. Period. Reverting back to systems that actually worked does not make you old. It doesn't make you a hillbilly. It doesn't make me a hillbilly for saying it. Cue the music. By the way, I do love this song. See, forcing yourself to use something just because everyone else is using it, that makes you ignorant. The current digital-first hiring system is broken. We all know it. I know it, you know it, and as my grandpa would say, Nancy and Ronnie know it. And yet, we just keep stacking more software, more filters, more automation on top of it like it's going to fix it. I am so frustrated about this deeply. See, because this is a leadership failure, and it's a massive one. You can still post the job in these garbage sites if you choose to, but I will warn you, they're not as fruitful as you may think. You can use the sites to get visibility, but take everything else offline. See, the answer is so simple and so basic. You have lots of options. You could set up a dedicated email address for this. Or, I know this one's going to be wild and make some of your heads explode. You could use the U.S. mail system. Ask them to mail a resume in, the old way. And here's a thought. Why don't you allow people to come inside and drop one off? And first things first, you have to respond to every single one of those that you received. Yes, even the ones that are not going to make it to an interview. See, basic respect is part of this process. Social media has made it incredibly easy to learn more and more about people. If you're genuinely interested in learning about some of these folks, look them up. You can gauge whether they align with your business just based on what they post. Many states now have public criminal history repositories. In Idaho, for example, there's the Idaho repository. You can look up criminal history information there for free. Now, I will warn you, if their name is Tom Jones or Mike Smith, good luck sorting that out, but the tools are there. Oh, but wait, I did miss a very important piece. So we're going to go backwards just a second. Do you know who should be sifting through these applicants? The person responsible for the new hire. The person who will be mentoring them. The person who will be answering for their performance. Now, I'm aware that should seem obvious, but it's not. Detaching the future manager from the hiring process is one of the worst decisions you can make. I have seen this over and over again. The only person not involved in selecting the candidate is the one who will ultimately be accountable for them. Really? And while we're at it, let's talk about the resume debate. I'm really sick of this one. I really am. We've got the people who say black and white versus color. You've got photo versus no photo. You got one page versus multiple pages. You've got paragraph versus bullet points. You've got the people who say list all your experience, and then the ones that say only do the last 15 years. And then you got font size and font choice and objective statement versus no objective. You've got people who hate when you say responsible for versus people who say use other language. You've got people trying to sniff out whether AI helped write it. You've got people criticizing someone for using AI. You've got people criticizing someone for not using AI. You've got gaps in employment. It's too much. It's too much. The truth is, A good resume is in the eye of the beholder. It's really not that complicated. See, recruiters and ATS systems have stripped away any real opportunity for applicants to stand out. Remember when people used to use the Indeed resume builder in the beginning? They would send in a resume built through Indeed. Everything looked the same. It was flat, generic, boring. And the irony, the very tool designed to make it easier often made the candidate far less memorable. Back then, we would dismiss those immediately because of that. Now, we've created a system that rewards conformity, manipulation, and keyword strategy over character, capability, and fit. Every resume has to visually look the same because we just have to look at so many of them. See, today, up is down, down is up. You know what I mean? All right, let's move on. Here's the deal. And we'll dig deeper into this in the upcoming episodes, but there's one thing about hiring that no one ever talks about. We all pretend we don't do it. We pretend we've created a system based on meritocracy, but here's the truth. Hiring has less to do with experience, degrees, or equal opportunities, and far more to do with personality and judgments. Ouch. I know, but it's true. See, most positions can be trained. Even if a candidate checks every skill box, there's always still kind of a learning curve. So let's walk through it. Let's say that you've interviewed 4 people for an opening at your holistic wellness center. Everyone meets the accreditation requirements, but number 1 had the most experience. But number 1 gave off some religious, arrogant vibes. Let's look at number 2. Number 2 had plenty of experience, but their social media page shows that they're a Trump supporter, which we all assume that means they don't support the trans movement, right? Then let's look at number 3. A little too tacky with their social media posts, you know what I mean? Then we've got number 4. Less experienced than the rest, but their personality and personal beliefs align with yours. Who do you think's going to get hired? I'll wait. See, hiring goes both ways. So many factors are considered. Lots of assumptions are made. Circumstantial evidence is everywhere. Everyone acts like they don't do this, but they do. They'll insist they don't, but they do. It's just a fact. Because employers want someone who will fit in with their current team. Love it or hate it, it's just how it works. Stereotyping is just a part of life. We all agree to reject it when it comes to race, gender, sexual preference, but look at the things that we openly judge every single day. Let's take a peek at who's rolling up for the interview, shall we? We're going to peek out the window and see who's pulling in. Oh, here comes a person that's driving up in a 1997 Honda Civic with duct tape on the trunk, plastic over the side window, and a broken headlight. Thoughts? Oh, look. Here comes a Mercedes SUV. It's one of those ones that looks like a Jeep. It retails for about $140,000, and our open position pays only $40,000. Thoughts? Oh, here comes another one. Here comes another one. Who's that? Here comes a man. Oh, he's pulling in. He looks professionally dressed. Is that a cigarette? He smokes. Ugh. Here comes a polished professional. He's pulling in right now. He's backing in. What does that bumper sticker say? Oh, God, he's got a National Rifle Association membership, NRA? No. Who's this pulling in? Is that a Subaru? Oh, God, coexist. Ugh. Here comes another one. Oh, no. That one has a California plate. Absolutely not. No. Here's another one coming in. Do you guys see it? What's that on the back of the car? CTR. That sounds familiar. Oh, it's that Mormon thing. No. That's a Mormon, I'm pretty sure. Here comes another one. This lady looks kind of promising. She's driving a minivan, though. Oh, crap. I can see she's got 4 car seats in that car. Oh, God, she's going to be calling in sick all the time. No. Here comes another one. Whoa. Why are there 2 people in that car? Is that our applicant in the front seat? Somebody drive him here? Does that guy look like he might be a drinker to you guys? Can you see? Oh, God, I bet he got a DUI and he lost his license. Nope. Who's that? Does she have a tattoo on her neck? Oh, God, she probably does drugs. I bet she was in prison. Have I made my point? And for the record, those are not my personal judgments. I was just giving you examples. But pretending that we don't all do that, that's just plain stupid. And I get it. We can't publicly admit that we do this, but this is the reality of the hiring process. In the next episode, we're going to talk more about how to really learn more about your applicants so that we can avoid being purely judgmental. Before I close this episode out, I do want to give you a couple ways to fight back against the broken hiring process. And the win for you is you're going to get a great employee on the other side of this. Plus, it's going to make a difference, a huge one, for a desperate job seeker. Employers, please, be different. Stop following what corporate world is doing. They have destroyed the hiring process, and you don't need to join that mess. Ask for physical, tangible, real printed resumes, the kind that encourage creativity. Take it offline. Thanks for listening to this episode of Let's Get Rash. Please like, subscribe, comment, GIF, all those types of things. Let me know what you think. And truly, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate your support more than I can ever put into words. Have a great day.